Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I'm here today with my pal Lala to talk to you about some more of the best books that I read in 2022. So we talked about some fiction in the last couple weeks, we talked about the top 5, and then we talked about the top 5 runners up. Well, today is the last video I want to be doing for the young adult section of the top books of 2022. So I wanted to do a really special section now because of, well, I know a lot of you guys love graphic novel and manga, and so do I. And I read a ton, an absolute ton of graphic novels and manga this past year. So I figured we might as well have a separate section that just talks about what some of my favorite manga and graphic novels were that I read in 2022. Now, like I said before, this is a completely subjective list. This might not be anything close to what some of the favorites that you had of last year. And if that's the case, I want to know about it. Shoot me an email or put a message or let me know what some of your favorite graphic novels and manga were that you read in 2022, because I want to hear all about it and what you loved about that. And maybe I'll find my next favorite read through one of those. But anyway, these are the ones that I thought were the best. Like I said, I read a lot of books last year, about 500. So this is going to be the top 5 books that were graphic novels or manga that I thought were just absolutely amazing. You ready? Okay, so we're going to start with number 5, which is, I can't even say this one without giggling because I just love it so much. Who the F Are You? By Huda Fahmy. And she says, I don't know. So a couple really cute things about this one before I get started on it is actually this author is from Dearborn, Michigan, grew up in Dearborn, Michigan, and she went to U of M. So this is a Michigan author, which is really cool. Dearborn is not that far away from us, so you could kind of consider her a local author. And this actually takes place in Dearborn, Michigan, which is absolutely hilarious. So this is a book about a young Muslim girl named Huda who doesn't really know where she fits in the world. So where she used to live, she was the only girl that wore hijab. She was the only girl, and that was her identity. Well, now that she's moved to Dearborn, there's a sea of girls wearing hijab, right? So she can't use that as her identity anymore. And she realizes as she goes along that she's not sure what group she fits into. She's not really super popular. She's not really an athlete. She's not really the one that all the boys want to talk to. So she has to try to figure out who she is and serve her best identity and who that is, and try to find out all of those things, right? So this is definitely a coming of age story. It's absolutely so hilarious. It is the cutest graphic novel ever. It's so funny. So the art is very simplistic but absolutely adorable and engaging. I loved it so much. Deals a lot with family, it deals a lot with religion and culture, and basically that one thing that we all have to really find out and go through ourselves, which is discovering and going through that process of who we really are as people. So this is a wonderful story. It's sweet, it's funny, it's so good, it has a lot of depth to it, it's beautiful. Highly recommend this. Who the F are you? And again, I can't say this without smiling because it's just so funny. Okay, number 4, Squire by Sara Alfageeh. Squire. Now, this is a beauty of a graphic novel. I love this so much. The artwork, well, we'll get into the artwork in a little bit, but I want to just talk about the story first. So the story is about a young girl named Isa who wants to be a knight. Now, a knight is the highest, military title that she can get. She can gain citizenship that way, because where she stands right now, her people, the Ornu people, have been colonized. And the only way to really gain status back, to get money, to keep her family safe, she has to become a knight in the colonizers' army. So as she goes through this process, she starts to realize that this maybe isn't the best thing after all, and that the colonization that her family and everybody has gone through is really not the best thing, that the army, even though they try to engage and say that they are, it really hasn't been. So once the world is actually starting to come into another war, she has to figure out, what does she want to do? Who does she want to fight for? What does she want to believe in? Can she be true to herself and her family? What does she do with this newfound status that she has? this book is absolutely amazing. And I know it's really thick and that can sometimes be daunting, but you're going to fly through this, I promise. I could not put it down once I started reading it. It's so, so, so good. And now I do want to get into the art because the art is just absolutely beautiful. So everything that Isa is going through, the friends that she makes when she goes to this training to be a knight, all of the training in general is just really, really fascinating. And again, of course, as you can probably tell, this story has a lot to do with colonizing and a lot to do with culture and family and who you are and who you want to be and how to be true to yourself and your family and where you've come from, right? So this is an amazing story. A lot of people have been talking about this one online, which is why I wanted to read it in the first place. And I'm so, so glad I did because I loved it. I fell completely, completely head over heels in love with it. Squire. Okay, we're now on book number 3. And this is Himawari House. So Himawari in Japanese means sunflower. This is by Harmony Becker. And this is a graphic novel that I picked up on a whim because it looked really interesting, and I did not expect to love it as much as I do. I completely fell head over heels in love with this graphic novel, with all aspects of it, the art, the story, the characters, everything. So this is a story about 3 girls. The main character now, who is Japanese but grew up mostly in America, and she's coming back to Japan now for a short period of time to rediscover her roots. So she is joined by these other 2 girls. One is from Korea and one is from Singapore. And they're all living together in Himawari House to try to basically learn Japanese, and in Nao's case, relearn Japanese, and immerse themselves in the culture in the world. So it's a very simple story, right? It's a story of culture. It's a story of newfound friendship. But it's so, so beautiful because it goes into all 3 of the girls' backstories, how they came to this point, what they want to get out of this experience, and how they want to live their lives going forward. Their relationships with their family, their relationships with each other, because they become really, really close friends after living together and learning this language together, which just forms this really, really deep bond. They start going to this school to learn the Japanese language, and it's just this really amazing, incredible story about culture and where you belong in your culture and that longing that you have to regain it, especially in Nao's case, to regain her culture that she feels that she sort of lost being away from it for so long, and learning the language and everything like that. It is an absolutely breathtaking, beautiful story. So the art is black and white and shades of gray, but it's not diminished in any way because of that. It is just so, so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I fell completely in love with this story, with these characters, with everything that they're going through. The stuff, like I said, they bring, they've all brought their pasts with them here to Himawari House, and, they all have to confront their pasts and their family and where they're going. They all have to confront that in different ways. So it's just a beautiful story, definitely a coming-of-age story, but way more than that because it's got these themes of culture and family and friendship as well. And like I said, the artwork blew me away. It was just so beautiful. And it's a story I read pretty early on in the year, but really, really stuck with me. Also, there's a lot of stuff in here about Japanese culture, like especially like food and things like that, that if you're interested in things like that, as I am, it was really, really entertaining as well. So this is Himawari House. Okay. Number 2, and with actually the first manga of this group, right? Because it's been all graphic novels so far. So this is the first manga series. This is a series that my coworker and friend, Miss Jenny, actually recommended to me. It's one of her favorite manga series. So I thought, well, I'm reading a lot of manga right now. I'd like to give it a try. We'll see how it is. My friends, I was instantly hooked. I read the first one in a blur. I just was so engaged in the story, I immediately had to check out all remaining like 15 or 16 other copies of the rest of the series. What am I talking about? Library Wars. And this is by Kiiro Yumi. Library Wars. I know what you're saying. You're going to say, Miss Rebecca, of course you're interested in this. It's about a library. How could you not be interested in this? But it's more than that. It's so much more than being about a library. So this is a story set in the near future a little bit of a dystopian future, but not too dissimilar in most ways of how it is now. Although in the future, in this world, the federal government has created a committee that will that gets rid of books, that bans and censors books that they deem unfit or unworthy, or books that they don't think should be read. And the library has said, well, the libraries have said, well, no, you're not going to do that. You're not. We're going to protect these books. And they form a military group to protect these books. So think of like all the stuff that's going on right now with censorship and book banning, and then just like explode it by 1,000,000. And that's what you have with this book. So you've got these characters who are protecting these books, who are trying to protect the freedom to read and things like that. And then you've got, and it gets very like violent. Like these people are trying to blow up libraries. They're trying to burn these books. Everything is crazy. All these people have, well, not all of them, but some of them have guns. And it's just the lengths they go to try to get these books to destroy them is just horrible. Well, this book is so amazing because it's not just about this. So yes, that's the main plot, the library wars and everything like that. But it's also a little bit of a romance. It's also about friendship. Oh my gosh, the love story in this is so beautiful. I can't even talk about it. It's so beautiful. But I love this series so much. I highly recommend it. It's also super hilarious. Like I cracked up multiple times just out loud reading this series because it is so funny. So give this one a try. It's got quite a few volumes, but if you read it and you read the first one, I guarantee that you're going to absolutely love it. This is such a great manga series. Highly recommended. Library Wars. Okay, so are we ready for the #1 graphic novel or manga of the year? So this is a little bit of a cheat because it's actually 2 books, but it's part of the same series, so I'm totally counting it. So if you watched the video last year of some of my favorite graphic novels and manga, you will know that Volume 1 of Lore Olympus was one of them. So I am proud to say that Lore Olympus Volumes 2 and 3 are my #1 choice for graphic novel of the year. So if you're not familiar with the series, Lore Olympus was a web comic that came out. So it's available, the whole thing is available online as well, but it's not as enjoyable to read. I don't prefer to read any kind of graphic novels or anything online. I really like having them in book form. So it started out as a webtoon. It is now being published as a graphic novel. It is a retelling of the love story of the Greek mythology, Hades and Persephone, but told in a more modern setting. So beautiful. If you love Greek mythology, if you love that story, you will love this too. Now, I do want to say that this graphic novel series is in the adult section. It does have some adult themes as well. So you may want to consider that before going and jumping into this. There are some trigger warnings, but they are mentioned in the beginning of the book. So just please pay attention to those as well before you read it. So what do I love about this book series? First of all, I love the mythology of Hades and Persephone. It is such a beautiful story the way it's redone here. I love seeing all the other characters and mythological beings and creatures that I've always loved because I'm a big fan of mythology. Seeing them all, it's just really cool, right? But the main thing that I really like about this is just the art. So the art has just this beautiful color palette where every character has their own color. So Hades here is like blue and shades of blue. You've got Aphrodite here in purple. You've got Persephone here in pink. Hera is in yellow. And it's just these illustrations are just, I can't get over how beautiful this series is. I found myself reading it just absolutely just stopping and just staring at some of these pictures for ages because they're just absolutely gorgeous. And it's just such a beautiful story. It's beautifully told. The characters are really well developed. It's just, it's absolutely phenomenal. So they are up to book 3. Book 3 is out now. You can get all 3 of them at the library. They are available. And it's just totally beautiful. If you like mythology, like I said, if you like things like that, you are for sure going to love this series. Give it a shot. It's so beautiful. Lore Olympus. And this is by Rachel Smythe. Smythe? Rachel Smythe? I'm not sure how that's said. Okay. Lore Olympus. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that some of these graphic novels and manga sound really, really good. Oh, I did want to do one last one real quick, actually. It is a honorable mention. So, an honorable mention for the top 5, because I really wanted to sneak it in there, but I still wanted to say it was in the top 5. Fruits Basket. Okay, this is by Natsuki Takaya. And this is a this is a manga series that I read when I was first out of high school and I was in college. So in my early 20s was the first time I read this manga. I read it all again. There's 23 volumes. I read the whole series again last year in 2022. And it just completely renewed my love so much for the series. I love it just as much now as I did when I was in my early 20s. And actually, I just started rereading it again. So this is now the second reread in 2 years that I'm doing of this whole series. So good. And it's kind of perfect timing because we just started Lunar New Year a couple days ago, and this has to do with the Chinese zodiac. So this is about a family who is cursed to turn into animals of the Chinese zodiac when they are hugged by members of the opposite sex. So it is an amazing story of, it goes really deep into a lot of things. So it's definitely really funny. It's a hilarious series, but there's also a lot of really deep things that go on with these characters as well, because they have all these really great stories. And it's about this girl named Toru who goes and ends up living with some of these members and how she changes all of their lives for the better. It is such a phenomenal series. If you haven't read it yet, really recommend it. It is a series that's a little bit older, but it's just held up so well. Highly recommended. Fruits Basket. Give it a try. So you can get all of those are available from Farmington Community Library. Please feel free to check them out and also give this video a like. And like I said before, if there's any others that you think I should have put on this list that didn't, shoot me an email or leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.